गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Kenopanishad, verse number 3, and we have seen the first verse was Om Kene Shitam Padati Preshitam Manaha Kena Pranaha Prathama Praiti Yuktaha Kene Shitam Vacham Imam Badanti Chakshushrotram Ka Udevo Yunakti. Then second verse was Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Mano Yad Vachoha Vacham Sau Pranasya Pranaha Chakshush Chakshurati Muchyadhiraha Pretyasman Pretyasmat Lokad Amruta Bhavanti. So what is that which is inspiring, impelling the way the pranas, the various sense organs? That was the question of the student. And then the teacher replied to him, Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manaha Vachoha Vacham Pranasya Pranaha Chakshusha Chakshuhu. And this way it was told that the Dhira, those who know in such manner, Pretya Asmat Lokad Amruta Bhavanti. Those who know the mind of the mind, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear in that manner, those who know, they are the wise and they attain immortality. If not, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Then now so there in the what is that X factor? What is that Keneshitam? What is that force? What is that power? What is that principle that was talked about in no confirmatory tone? It was not told it is that. It was told mind of the mind. It was told ear of the ear. It was not told it is this. Because all language is in the mind and mind cannot know it. And therefore, it's like a game that the teacher is playing with the student, so that this student becomes available to that reality, to that Keneshitam, to that power which cannot be found outside. Not you, not me, not anyone can find. And therefore it was told Dhiraha. The wise men have said so, that the one who knows the mind of the mind, the ear of the ears. Now more qualification is given, and that this principle, this essence, which is prerayitam, which is inspiring all the senses, how that principle, that Atma, which the student asked about, we are giving it a word because mind works only through some terminology. So that X factor, that unknowable, we have given it a name Atma, because I have to communicate, the scriptures have to communicate. So that Atma is unknowable. It is, and it cannot be spoken about. So it is unknowable and it cannot be spoken about, yet it is. And that you are. Don't forget this part. See what a difficult task the Upanishad has, because Upanishad is the mother. Millions of mothers put together, and their nurturing and their compassion, even 100 times more than that is this, 1,000 times more than that is the Upanishad mother. She has got so much concern for us. She can only communicate to us through words about that which cannot be spoken of through words. She is trying to make us understand that which cannot be comprehended by the mind. Such a task she has. See? So now in this third verse, the unknowability of the Atma and the unspeakability about the Atma, that is what is talked about. So the verse goes, na tatra chakshur gacchati na vag gacchati na manaha na vidmaha na vijanimaha yatha etad anushishyad anyadeva tad viditad athah aviditad adhi iti shushruma purvesham ye nastadvyacha chakshire. So what is this? In short, it is the third verse says that the faculties cannot know that reality. That principle, that essence, that Brahma, that Atma, the na chakshur gacchati, the eyes cannot see it. Na vag gacchati, the speech cannot speak about it. Na manaha, also the mind cannot apprehend it or comprehend it. Therefore, mind cannot come to know. Therefore, just in that manner, the teacher is telling to the student, ki how are we to speak about this Atma Tattva or Brahma Tattva, that X factor, that unknowable? We don't know how to speak about it. He is putting his hands up. Who? The teacher. He says, we don't know how to communicate that principle to you, O student. We cannot communicate to you the Atma. We cannot communicate to you the Brahman. Because both are one only. And we are unable to understand how to communicate to you. So, what is this principle? Whatever you know, it is other than the known. We can talk only in contradictory language. What it is other than all the known. Be attentive. It is other than all the known and unknown also. So it is beyond. It is transcendental to the known, and it is beyond, transcendental to the unknown also. Don't get lost in the words. Because before we said Atma or Brahman is unknowable. Now don't get into that. Don't catch the word. No, you said unknowable. But we are telling you now that it is beyond the known and beyond the unknown. And therefore, and why are we saying this? Because The great masters before us have spoken about it in this manner, so we are saying it. We are not making any claim. And therefore, they have. So, this is where the parampara comes in. That our teachers said it in this manner, so I am speaking to you in the same manner to you. Their teacher, the teacher's teacher also spoke to the teacher in that manner only. And we are communicating that to you. न तत्र चक्षुर्गच्छति न वाग्गच्छति न मनः न विद्मः न विजानीमः न विद्मः known न विजानीमः beyond it is not the unknown यथा एतद् अनुशिष्यात् अन्यदेव. So then the Shishya is looking with the wide eye. Then what if it is beyond all? He says, I cannot communicate to you. अन्यदेव तद् विदितादथः अविदितादधि इति शुश्रुम पूर्वेषां ये नस्तद्व्याचचक्षिरे. So we do not know how to teach this, but our teacher told us something, and that I'll communicate to you. So what are we communicating? We are communicating that which our teacher taught. What did he teach? What his teacher taught. What did he teach? Which his teacher taught. And here, especially in this, who is our teacher? Adi Shankaracharya is our teacher. From whom did he study from? He studied from Govindapad. Whom did he study from? Gaudapad. Gaudapadacharya, then Govindapadacharya, and then he taught to Adi Shankaracharya. At a very young age, 8 years old, 9 years old. And within few months he studied all the scriptures. So teacher told us something that we are going to communicate to you, and he said it is. And what did he say? Na vidmaha na vijanimaha. He said that it is other than the known and other than the unknown also. So please take care and be attentive, because we cannot directly indicate what it is. It is not a second hand knowledge. What you are getting from me is second hand knowledge. When you are listening to me, it is a second hand knowledge. Because the words are coming, striking your ears and appearing as thoughts in your mind. And you are imagining this is what that word means, or this is what this sentence means. And your understanding is directly proportional to the purity of the mind. But this is second-hand knowledge. Whether mind na vidmaha na vijanimaha. So whether mind knows or doesn't know, it does not matter. It is beyond. Because knowledge and absence of knowledge is where? Is it in the Atma or is it in the mind? It is in the mind. Because our obsession with knowledge is only by way of thoughts. And that's why it has become a big problem today. If you stop remembering, which is a healthy sign, it's been made into a disease. Very good, don't think. One less problem on the planet. Then what? One less problem, but other people are troubled because of that one person who is not able to think. See? So it has been, anyway, that's a different point. So this has to be known by first person singular, aham. And aham is a thought. You have to go beyond that thought. thought comes and goes, convictions come and go, vision comes and goes, speech comes and goes, thoughts comes and goes, convictions come and go, breath comes and goes, day comes and goes, years comes and goes, childhood, teenage, youth, middle age, every moment, every day your body is changing, it's coming, cells are coming and going. Every day you see new white hair in your, or you find that a few more hair have come out into the while taking shower. Something is going, something is coming. All this is coming and going, experiences are coming and going, associations are coming and going. Who is the one who, in whose presence this whole game of coming and going is going on? Is it, can that person be known by me telling you? Can that person be known by someone else telling you? Yes, what someone else can tell you, a Guru Maharaj can tell you, is direct your attention to that unknowable principle. That is what the scripture is doing. That is what the Upanishad is doing. But these are only triggers which the teacher is giving, which the mind is receiving. But the intellect must have faith, must have conviction that what this trigger, which has, that stimulus which has come from the teacher's mouth, has been caught by the mind. What it is indicating is none other than my essential nature. Therefore, be careful, be attentive, be alert, be vigilant, be focused. At this moment, if you have a water bottle or cup of tea on the side, it's not for the faint-hearted. No, we must lubricate our body. The one who is thinking about the body, for him it is not available. Even though it is plentifully available, it cannot be caught by that person. Who has obsessions, who has insistence to do or not to do, to know or not to know about something in this world, who has body identification, not possible. So now our Adi Shankaracharya says in his commentary, न तत्र तस्मिन् ब्रह्मणि चक्षुः गच्छति. Eyes cannot go to eyes. They can see everything, but the eyes cannot see the eyes. We have told this example before. And so is true with all other faculties also. Ears cannot listen to themselves, the tongue cannot taste itself, the skin cannot feel itself. Swatmani gamana sambhavat. Because the gamana is coming from gati, gam gacchati. So gam is to go. For senses to go, there has to be the other. So my senses, my eyes are able to apprehend form because there is another form out there. But my eyes cannot see themselves. They can see themselves. If I see in the camera, I can see because it's a reflection. But by itself, can they see themselves? No, nothing to see. Because there is no distance between the eye and the eye. It can only see someone else's, some other form. It cannot see itself because there is no distance. Only the illumination or apprehending the stimuli is possible only where there is otherness, where there is the difference, where there is a distance. Then the vision goes and illuminates that object. Then the ear goes and illuminates that sound, and so on. Okay. So swatmani gamana sambhavat. So it cannot, there is no distance between the eye and the eye, therefore no vision possible. There is no difference between the ear and the ear, so no vision possible. No distance possible, so it cannot hear itself. And in this way, तथा न वाग गच्छति वाचा ही शब्द उच्चार्यमाणः अभिधेयं प्रकाशयति यदा तदा अभिधेयं प्रति वाग गच्छति इति उच्यते. So when the speech coming out of the mouth goes and illuminates the see, speech is only possible when there is someone spoken to or something that has to be spoken. So what is the just like the seer is possible only when there is seen. So speech is only possible when there is someone spoken to. So here he says that only then it can illuminate that the speech, and only then the speech comes out and illuminates that particular object which is to be spoken about. Otherwise it's not possible. Nobody can reach himself. Be very attentive. Nobody can reach himself. What are ye all doing? In the name of sadhana, in the name of spirituality, japa, yoga, pranayam, Vedanta Shravana. What is this all for? To realize yourself. True or not? To realize yourself. You can never realize yourself. Narayan. Because you are you. How can you realize yourself? How can you ever know yourself? Because you are already that which you are seeking. How can the eye see the eye? Because it is already the eye. How can the consciousness come to know the consciousness? It is already the consciousness. How can it know itself? Then what are we doing? Everything that is coming in between, everything that is taking us away from being, that is being shift deleted. Na tatra chakshur gacchati, the eyes are deleted. Na vag gacchati, the speech is deleted, the senses are deleted, the mind is deleted, the known is deleted, the unknown is deleted. What remains behind is you. Our obsession with the senses, our obsession with the known, our obsession with the unknown. Known, waking and dream. Unknown, deep sleep. Known, presence of thoughts. Unknown, absence of thoughts. And in this only we are going round and round and round, and we are caught up in the whirlpool of the mind. We have to get out of it. And how do you get out of it? By this type of contemplation. While being in the whirlpool, recognize that you are the water. You are free. Then you will not be under the effect of the whirlpool. And how do you know that you are water? By being. So for that, for being water, what do you have to do? You have to give up all ideas about yourself. I am father, I am daughter, I am sister, I am mother, I am a doctor, I am engineer, I am IT, I am so many years old, I was born in this place, I was in a poor family, I made myself up and I migrated. You have got so much data about yourself, including I have been doing satsang, I take so many classes, I have done talked on Gita for so many times, I studied in this ashram, I was blessed by so many masters, I had darshan of so many masters. All this is data. I have to give up that. I have to come to the one in whose presence all this data was possible. वाचा ही शब्द उच्चार्यमाणः अभिधेयं प्रकाशयति यदा तदा अभिधेयं प्रति वाक् गच्छति इति उच्यते. When a speech has uttered when a speech has uttered a word and reached the object, only then it is called speech. When the speech is uttered and it has reached the object, only then it is called a speech. Otherwise it is what called blabbering. Then it is called vacha. Here the word is vacha hi shabda uccharyamanaha. So that object which is being, to which the speech has reached, is called abhidheya. Therefore, so that is called abhidheya. See, the infinite reality, the Brahman, the Brahman is the substratum of speech as well as other speech as well as the sound. I was going to say other faculties, that is true, but here we are talking about speech and the sound. The speech is not possible without the pure consciousness, sound is not possible without the pure consciousness. So sun, just as sun himself is the substratum of the heat and light. Can the heat reach the sun? Can the light reach the sun? Can it? Similarly, speech cannot reach it. In Taittiriya Upanishad it comes. What is that? There also, I can't remember the words now. There also it comes that the speech cannot illuminate, cannot talk about it, cannot reach it, mind cannot apprehend it. Yato vacho nivarta. So many times I said it, it's sudden blank. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. So just like now, watch. Mind was blank. She said one word, yato. It triggered and the whole sentence came afterwards. Similarly, is now situation, take it the other way. Shankaracharya is through his words is triggering our mind so that we can go beyond the mind and be that. Recognize that even while thinking is going on, we take the position outside the mind, other than the mind, rather than insist that knowledge is only possible through thoughts. This is the intention. So these are all triggers. Thank you, Amma. Good example. Impromptu. So just as heat and light don't affect the sun, or heat and light don't affect the fire, similarly the speech and the sound don't affect the Atma or the Brahman. It is as it is. Now take it subjectively at this very moment, that they are not affecting you. Swamiji, how do you know it is not affecting us? You got Siddhi. देखो. Na, where are we? Next page. तस्य च शब्दस्य तन्निर्वर्तकस्य च करणस्यात्मा ब्रह्म अतो न वाग्गच्छति यथा अग्निर्दाहकः प्रकाशकश्चापि सन् न ह्यात्मानं प्रकाशयति दहति वा तद्वत्. This is exactly what I just automatically the thought went in that direction. That just as the fire is not affected by heat and light, so also Brahman is also not affected by speech and sound. Similarly, vision and form. See? And so on. So can the light of the fire or the heat of the fire make a journey back to fire? Can it make a journey back to fire? If that is an impossibility, so also it is impossible for speech and sound to go back to its source, to its origin, which is Brahman. Oh, but you said वैखरी मध्यमा पश्यन्ति परा. बुद्धुओं के लिए वो साधना ठीक है. Because we are so seekers are so obsessed with doing something. So some prakriya is given. That is lay prakriya. All that is required is proper understanding, complete understanding. Full conviction, 100%, not 99%, 100% conviction about this point. And there you are. Nothing needs to be done. Did Arjuna do anything after 18 chapters? Nothing. Did Parikshit Maharaj do anything during 18,000 verses, 7 days of lecture by Shukdevji Maharaj? Nothing. And the knowledge dawned. But where we take a position, yeah, all that is all right, but what needs to be done? What do I do next? Doing means karma. We are still body identified. We want to do. We want to do. Go beyond doing and not doing. The one he who sees action in inaction and inaction in action. Remember the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Go beyond, man. Enough. त्यागे नैके अमृतत्व मानशु. Give up. And there it is not give up the action. It's not give up the action. Give up the doer. Nowhere it is told give up the action. But we are give up. When we go to sleep, what we give up? We give up the action. That's why we go into ignorant sleep. No manaha manascha anyasya sankalpayitru adhyavasayitru cha sat na atmanam sankalpatya adhyavasyati cha tasya api brahmatmeti. So also, just like speech and sound cannot reach Brahman, just like fire and heat and light cannot reach the fire or the sun, similarly, mind can think, imagine, determine, about everything, but it cannot imagine, think, determine about the Brahman. It is getting all these words. We are using the words Brahman and Atman very comfortably. We are using it also. Every sentence the Brahman word is coming or Atman word is coming. But what is the impact of that word? What it represents is beyond the scope of that word Atman. Is beyond the scope of the word Brahman. But it represents something. What is Brahman? The larger than the largest, the heavier than the heaviest. See? Now you go look, because we are so obsessed with our senses, we go looking. Oh, heavier than heaviest. What is heavier than heaviest? Oh, I went to the New Zealand museum and there I saw a rock, such a small rock which was weighing almost 10 kgs. And I saw such a big rock which was weighing only 500 grams. Oh, heavier than that. What could be heavier than that? Don't get into. These are just, what it is indicating is the subject that I am. So let the mind listen, let the mind understand, let the mind be convinced, let the mind have all the thoughts. You stand apart. You be alert. You be the witness. Don't get involved. Even as we are speaking. Don't get involved too much. Or get involved so much that there is no difference between the hearer and the heard. Understand? In the 18th chapter we saw last week, do the karma in such a manner that the distance between the karta and the karma vanishes. That will be only possible when there is complete purity, complete inspiration. See? So just as eye cannot see itself, ear cannot hear itself, mind can never come to know itself. Mind can never come to know itself. Who can know the wave? Ocean can know the wave. But can the wave come to know the wave? It has to take a position outside the wave in order to see the wave, isn't it? And in that attempt of taking a position, what will be the position? Either it takes the position of totality, which is the ocean, or it takes the position of water, which is infinite. Whichever position he takes, at that very moment, the waveness finishes. Immortality. इंद्रिय मनोभ्याम ही वस्तुनः विज्ञानम तद्गोचरत्वात् न विद्मः तद् ब्रह्म दर ईदृशम इति. Everything is known to us only due to mind. Indriya manobhyam hi vastunah vijnanam. Vijnanam, to know. All knowledge is possible only because of the mind. Okay, mind, and here it says Indriya manobhyam. So, Indriyas and the mana. Bhyam is plural. So, it's more than three. Three and more. So, manobhyam. So everything is known to us through the mind and the senses. Therefore, mind cannot be known. You cannot come to a conclusion or that mind is like this or mind is like that. When you say my mind is disturbed, what is disturbed? Is the mind disturbed or are the thoughts disturbing? When you say my mind is not interested, my mind is interested, my mind is very excited, mind is not excited, is it the mind which is going through all that? Mind is doing only one job, throwing thoughts. Who is the knower? Who is getting disturbed or not disturbed? Who is getting hungry or not hungry? Is mind getting hungry or you are getting hungry? Huh? Anyway, we'll come to that fellow. So therefore, mind cannot be known. It is like this or that. Just as the objects cannot reach the senses and say, these are the senses which are illuminating us. They cannot reach it. Similarly, senses cannot reach the mind. I have given this prakriya before. The senses cannot reach the mind because mind is the cause, senses are the effect. Grossified mind is called the senses. Without mind, senses have got no meaning. But mind is the cause, senses are the effect. Can the effect come to know the cause? Not possible. Can the senses come to know the mind? Just like eyes are saying, oh, beautiful people listening, because I can see the forms. Can the eyes say, oh, beautiful mind? Can it? It can imagine something in the mind, but the inner eye can see it, but it is not that. It is not the mind. It is again a thought. But senses cannot illuminate the thought also. Forget about the mind. Senses can't even illuminate the thought. So conclusion, senses cannot say that the mind is like this or like that. Similarly, mind cannot say, if we take step by step, mind cannot say intellect is like this or intellect is like that. Go further, intellect cannot say life is like this or life is like that. Go further, life cannot say, Chaitana cannot say, the Chaitanya Vastu, the conscious principle is like this or that, because Chaitana is only a principle, it is only a phenomena. Life is only a phenomena when things come together. So as we go from grosser to subtle, the grosser cannot come to know the subtle. And the subtlest we know is the intellect. Intellect cannot know, or life cannot know its source. And yet all these are nothing but expressions, as if of the one consciousness that there is. And that consciousness I am, in essence. Don't forget, always come to this conclusion. Any prakriya you begin, always bring it back to yourself, to the conscious principle. अतः न विजानीमः यथा येन प्रकारेण एतद् ब्रह्म अनुशिष्यात् उपदिशेत् शिष्याय एतत् उपदिशेत् शिष्यायेत्यप् अभिप्रायः. So therefore अतः न विजानीमः यथा येन प्रकारेण. So Adi Shankaracharya is saying, therefore, if this is the data that is available to us, that the gross cannot illuminate the subtle, the effect cannot illuminate the cause, therefore he is saying, na vijanima yata yena prakarena etad brahma anushishyat. What is the methodology by which we are going to tell the student about that Brahman? What methodology has to be employed then? What prakriya? So that the reality is revealed to the student. He cannot come to know it because it is beyond the known and the unknown. It has to be revealed. But what is that methodology by which it will reveal? यद्धि करणगोचरं तद अन्यस्मै उपदेष्टुं शक्यं जाति गुणक्रिया विशेषणैः. When something can be known through mind and senses, it can be explained to someone. This is the principle is being laid out to us, that when something can be known through mind and senses, then alone we can communicate, we can explain, we can use the faculties to explain it to someone, to the shishya here. न तज्जात्यादि विशेषण न तज्जात्यादि विशेषणवद् ब्रह्म तस्माद् विषमं शिष्यानुपदेशेन प्रत्याययितुमिति उपदेशे तदर्थ ग्रहणे च यत्नाति क्षय कर्तव्यताम दर्शयति. So it is very difficult to give upadesh to a student with regards to Brahman, based on what is that it told here? Jati, Jati Guna Kriya Visheshana ye. These are the adjectives. What is an adjective? Which enhances the quality of the noun, isn't it? Which describes the noun. So what are the adjectives here? Jati, Guna, Kriya. These are different kinds of adjectives which are Visheshana. Visheshana is adjective, which are added. But these are, they are not enough to explain that which is beyond the words. Through this, only something known can be told to you, can be communicated. So therefore, उपदेशे तदर्थ ग्रहणे च यत्नातिशय कर्तव्यताम दर्शयति. It seems that we need to deliberate a little bit more, and it is necessary for us to try a little bit more, indulge a little bit more, in order to explain how to reveal this Brahman. Now he says, Na vidmaha na vijanimaha. We are in the next page. Is it there? Na vidmaha na vijanimaha yatha etad anushishyat iti atyantam eva upadesha prakara pratyaya akhyane prapte tad apavado yamuchyate. सत्यमेवं प्रत्यक्षादिभिः प्रमाणैः न परः प्रत्यायितुं शक्यः. It says the न विद्मः न विजानीमः यथा एतद् अनुशिष्यात्. By this sentence, this was coming in the verse, no? The na vidmaha na vijanimaha cannot be known. It is beyond the known and the unknown. This is what the Upanishad is teaching. And what is Upanishad doing? What is Upanishad doing? It is teaching. So Upanishad is cancelling itself only. This you find only in the Upanishads. Nowhere else you will find. Where the Upanishads say you have to give us up also. You have to go beyond us. We can only indicate. We cannot deliver. Because you are already that which we are trying to reveal to you. You are that. We are inert. Upanishad is inert. Words are inert. Thoughts are inert. Words are inert. But our attention must be on what is being indicated by these words. And that you have to find between yourself. Somewhere, some line in some Upanishad will lit the spark. See how difficult it is to communicate the truth. And we say we have understood, we have understood. What have we understood? If we have understood, we have not understood. If we have not understood, naturally you are ignorant. But we have the arrogance. We have studied Upanishads, we have studied Ramana Gita, we have studied Bhagavad Gita. If we have not come to know the essence, we have just wasted our time in objectifying, in objectification. We have only collected information. So here when he says, yes, what you are saying is correct, that the Upanishad is cancelling itself by saying na vidmaha, na vijanimaha. By this instruction it is cancelling itself. But it is, the teacher says, satyam evam pratyakshadibihi pramanaihi na paraha pratyayayitum shakyah. He says that with the various, it is true what you are saying, that by the various pramanas, that by jati, guna, kriya, the various adjectives, the Paramatma cannot be illuminated, the Paramatma cannot be revealed. You are absolutely true. But at least through the Shastras, at least we can have the pratiti, we can come close to it, we can feel it, we can come to the threshold. And that is for that purpose the scriptures are there. Because how can the inert words and the inert Upanishad reveal the conscious principle that you are? Oh, Swamiji, you told Upanishads are inert. Yes, your mind also is damn inert, which is getting all those thoughts. It is also inert. Everything that is changing is inert. Then who is not inert? In whose presence all the thoughts are coming and going is not inert. Now find out. Be, while listening, transcend. आगमेन तु शक्यत एव प्रत्यायितुम् इति तद उपदेशार्थम आगममाह. But the same reality can be explained through words of scriptures, and that's what we are saying. Agama is the scriptures, Agama is the Upanishads. Where are we? Agam are the Upanishads, the Shastras. So through the Shastras we are able to explain the reality. If we did not have the scripture, would you be thinking that the reality is beyond the known and the unknown? We'll be lost only in the waking dream, deep sleep, trying to work out the waking. Why am I so miserable in waking? I become free of all miseries when I get up from the dream. Why am I not able to get free of the waking? What I have to do. And when we are lost in doing, we will never be free. So one should not misunderstand the statement that when we say because Brahman, that or Atman or the Paramatman, Atman from individual point of view, the consciousness here is Atman. From the totality point of view, that Atma is called Brahman. For the yogis, he is called as Paramatma. Same conscious reality. For the devotees, he is called Narayana or Shiva. How does it matter? Parama Shiva. But we have, oh, I am a Vishnu devotee, I am not a Shiva devotee. I am a Shiva devotee, I am not a Vishnu devotee. Super consciousness, supra consciousness, objectless awareness, we get lost in this terminology only. We are not able to see that all the various masters, whatever they have used, or the various scriptures, the terminologies that they are using are indicating the one and the same. The same is called as Ekameva Detya. That same reality is called Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. That same is called as Kaivalya. Yet it is beyond all those words. Each one from his own standpoint has given it a word. Etymologically, it is correct. So don't misunderstand that we cannot explain, we cannot talk of Brahman means that it cannot be realized, it cannot reveal. No, it is. Don't misunderstand that. So what does it mean? It only means that the reality, the pure consciousness cannot be known through the valid means of knowledge. And what are the valid means of knowledge? Our faculties. That is our validity, no? Who gives validity to the knowledge of the world? Our faculties. Five senses and the mind and intellect, isn't it? These are the valid means of knowledge for us, which are making us knowledgeable about the world. And now the same faculties we want to employ to know that which is beyond the world. Forgetting that the faculties are also a part of the world. You understand what we are saying? That these faculties, the senses and the mind and intellect, they are also part of the world only. And these faculties we are utilizing, employing to know that which is beyond. But the same reality, आगमेन तु शक्यत एव प्रत्यायितुमिति तद उपदेशार्थम आगमाः. But the same reality can be explained through the words of the scriptures. Continuing, अन्यदेव तद विदिताद अथः अविदिताद अधि इति. The words are used. The words are used. Now what sentence we are going to talk on? Anyad eva tad aviditad atah aviditad adhi iti. Words are being used to make a statement. But these words are being told in such a way that they are not being used to explain the reality. They are not being used to explain the reality. Na vak gacchati, na chakshur gacchati. Is it explaining the reality? If you are taking those sentences till now, what we have done, they are explaining the reality, then we are going wrong way in our understanding. It is to impress on our mind that the senses, the mind, the thoughts, the convictions cannot reveal the reality to you. You can write thesis after thesis after thesis about Atman, but Atman will not reveal. So what is this? Anyad eva tad aviditat adha aviditat adhi. It is this Brahman is other than the ear of the ear, eye of the eye. Huh? This Vastu is other than the five senses, is other than the mind. That means this Brahman, this reality is other than the known. Do you know the senses? Yes. Do you know the world? Yes. Do you know the mind? I feel I know because I'm thinking. It's beyond concepts, beyond ideas, beyond imagination. All this we know. I had a dream. I know. Including, oh, I don't know anything. Who said that? I only said that I don't know anything. So you know that you don't know anything. So even the absence is known. So presence is also known and absence is also known. Brahman cannot be revealed by both because it is beyond both. Presence and absence, known and unknown. It cannot become the object of knowledge. I cannot become the object of knowledge of vision. The mind cannot become the object of knowledge of the senses. Similarly, the Atman or the Brahman or the reality cannot become the object of knowledge of the mind. How do we make it an object of knowledge? By thinking. And when it is said, I in essence is the reality, again we say, who am I? Again, object of knowledge is I. But what is this? You are still focused on the I thought. You have to go beyond the thought. We have to go beyond vritti jnana. Remember our Amrit Anubhav? That's where we are at there. Vritti rahit aham doesn't mean that the vritti has to die. Today after lunch I was just sitting and I had my lunch, made some पराठा, करेले की सब्जी अच्छा सा खाया और बैठ के I was watching that Radha Krishna 15-20 minute serial. And while watching, nice beautiful sunshine basking me, right, and उतने में कहाँ वो चल रहा था, the beautiful sunshine, and I vanished. And every now and then I will hear Radha saying something or Krishna saying something, but I am unavailable to them. So did I go to sleep or to take that power nap? Was it necessary for me to put the TV off and the sound off or to reduce the volume? Was it necessary? No. The pull came from within and I became unavailable to the sound. I couldn't hear it only. And every now and then if I did hear it, but the pull was so great, I said, forget it, बाद में फिर से देख लेंगे उसमें क्या है. I'm telling now, but that time even that thought did not come. Because sinking into myself was more blissful than watching the Radha Krishna on the screen. So, object, this reality cannot be known as an object of knowledge. It cannot be known through thoughts or illuminating thoughts. I thought is illuminating idam thoughts. Aham thought is illuminating idam thoughts. And then you say, who am I? Can I illuminate I? Can I objectify I? Not possible. So here it is said that the reality cannot be the object of knowledge of the senses and the mind. We know ourselves without the interference of the senses and the mind. At this moment also we know ourselves. Because we say the thoughts are coming and going, right now it is waking, now there is no thought. Everything is known. And as I said, everything is known as well as the absence is also known. Absence of objects, absence of thoughts is also known. Who is that? In whose presence the senses, the mind, the thoughts, they are coming and going, the waking deep sleep, waking dream sleep, samadhi, they are coming and going, days are coming and going, age is coming and going, disease is coming and going, hunger is coming and going, breath is coming and going, vision is coming and going, heartbeat is happening, everything is happening. Who is that? Is that someone else? Is it beyond the clouds? Is it in the temples? Is it in the Himalayas? Is it in Kailash? Is it in Tirupati? Who is this? Or is it you? I am that. And it does not matter, you go to pilgrimages, you go to temples, you go to Kailash, you go to Tirupati, you go to Mahatmas, but never forget. Ever be vigilant and alert. Ever be abiding in that reality. So when that Dargah Swami says, oh, I only inspired Chinmayananji to start Chinmay Mission. I only told Vivekananda to go and give lecture at the Parliament of Religions. I only told Satya Sai Baba to build Puttaparthi. These are his words. He says they cannot do anything without my permission. One would laugh at such statements. You will be declared mad and put into mental asylum straight away. But such are the masters. For them, the entire creation is in them. They are themselves are in and through, permeating the entire creation. Yet they are beyond it. Can we maintain that position? 24 by 7, 365 days a year. We don't have to wait for so long. 24 hours is also too long. Maintain it for 3 minutes. Why 3 minutes? Scriptures say only one click is required. Bus. One click. And once you are there, nobody can shake you from there, from that position. Once you have taken that transcendental position, what is that position? Everything is in me, I am in everything, and yet I am beyond everything, while supporting everything. 4th and 5th verse of 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, nothing is in me, I am in nothing. It's all a drama going on. What is that drama? I am in everything. Where is everything? In the mind. Yet I am beyond everything. Meaning, I am not enslaved by the mind. Same words here. Na chakshur gacchati, na vag gacchati. There Bhagwan himself is the Paramatma. He is speaking. Here Upanishads are talking about the Paramatma. There Paramatma himself is talking in Bhagavad Gita. Some people say, oh, Krishna was the greatest, he had a very big ego. Everywhere he says, pray to me, surrender to me, ananyaschintayanto mam, ye jana paryupasate, tesham nityabhiyuktayam, yogakshemam vahamyaham. You think about me, exclusive to everything, and I will take care of. What a big ego. This is a stupid man's. Those who are lost in karma, they only can think like this. Karma means those who are identified with body. They are identified with doing something in life. They can never understand that statement. But there Bhagwan himself is. It did not, Bhagavad Gita doesn't say Bhagwan Krishna said. It says Bhagwan. Bhagwan is a principle. So there is no verse there by Bhagwan Krishna. There is only Bhagwan. Bhagwan Uvacha. It doesn't say Bhagwan Krishna Uvacha. His names may be, that Bhagwan's names may be many. Bhagwan Satya Sai Baba, Bhagwan Ramakrishna, Bhagwan Osho. But we get lost. We start judging. Oh, Bhagwan Krishna बड़ा ego है उसका. तो क्या Nisargadatta Maharaj, when he says I am that, he has got a big ego. Go and stand in front of him. So do not misunderstand. The whole point here is being made is, do not misunderstand. Yes, the faculties, our valid means of knowledge are unable to illuminate the truth, but scriptures can explain it, and they can explain the reality. And then it says, Anyadeva prithag eva tad yat prakrutam shrotradinam shrotradi ityuktam avashishyascha tesham tad viditad anyadevahi. This Brahman is other than, prithag eva is other than, ear of the ear, eye of the eye, etc. As we have already said, that it is other than the object of knowledge, and therefore we know our presence without a thought. We don't need thinking to take place in order to establish ourselves, in order to be alive. in order to be conscious. We know we are, that's it. Mind, whether mind says something or doesn't say something, whether it confirms or it doesn't confirm, it doesn't affect the consciousness that I am, isn't it? Catch it right now. Be that at this very moment. So therefore, this Brahman, this reality, tad viditat anya devahi. This Brahman, this reality is other than the known. Viditat. What's the time? Viditam nama yad vidik yad vidikriya kriyaya kriyatish shayenaptam विधिक्रिया कर्म भूतम क्वचित किंचित कस्यचित विदितम स्यादिति. Viditam means viditam nama. So what does viditam mean? Viditam means that which is pervaded by process of knowing. यद विधिक्रियया ति शयेन आप्तम विधिक्रिया कर्म भूतम क्वचित. So that which is pervaded by the process of knowing. So whatever is cognized. So whatever is cognized through the process of knowing, that is anything known by anyone, anywhere and at any time. Desha kala vastu. Anywhere, anytime and anyone. This is vidita. Viditam. So the entire expanse, what is our entire expanse of experience? Desha kala vastu, isn't it? Desh kala vastu, time, space and objectivity. Anytime, anywhere, anything or anyone. All covered. How do you know all this? Time, space and objectivity. You know it, no? All that is known, that is viditam. So we know the world, we know the people, everything outside us we know. But when we come to the body, we know the body also. Because I can see it, so I am the seer, this is the seen. I also know that I have got the senses. I also know that the breath is coming and going out. I know. I also know that the thoughts are coming and going. I also know that the waking dream and deep sleep and samadhi are coming and going. I also know that sometimes there are thoughts in the mind, and I also know that there is absence of thoughts in the mind, isn't it? All this is known. Viditam. Sarvameva vyakrutam viditam eva tasmad anyadeva iti artaha. So that's what it says here, that the truth, the reality, the Brahman is other than the known. So first we defined what is Viditam, what is known, we just told you. And what is Brahman? It is beyond the known. Now if you look for Brahman, this is one prakriya, okay? We are following the Upanishad. So if we get obsessed to know Bhagwan, like our Janabai, she was obsessed that she has to go to Namdev ji was obsessed that Vitthal is only in the Pandharpur. Akkalkot Maharaj gave her the darshan in Akkalkot because she didn't have the money to pay the tax in order to take the journey to Pandharpur. And she was crying, she was miserable, she was crying out, Vittala, 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 Vittala. Was it Janabai or Kanopatra? I can't remember, one of them. And Akkalkot Maharaj says, why are you crying, my dear? But he didn't. He could have done it, given her the darshan the first day she came to Akkalkot. He didn't. He allowed her to get ripened. This is how masters work. Get ripened. As her urge to be with Krishna reached its peak, with all the obstacles that were coming in her way, and she felt that there's no point living life anymore. And at that moment, Akkalkot Maharaj comes in front of him, Swami Samartha. He says, what happened? She says, I want to go to Pandharpur, but I am not able to. He says, why you have to go to Pandharpur to see Vitthala? Vitthala is here only. She says, where? I can't see him. You look, he's standing in front of you. No, but I see you, Swami Samartha. And while she's saying this, he turns into Vitthal Bhagwan. And suddenly, this is grace. And suddenly, her vision went through a transformation. She understood the expanse of the Lord. Isha vasyamidagam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat. That she doesn't need to go anywhere in order to apprehend the Lord. We think we have to go to the Lord. We forget we are moving around in the Lord. The wave forgets that it is a part and parcel of the waters because of its obsession with its form. Same thing we are doing. We are part and parcel of the reality as the reality, but we forget because our obsession is with our form, with our thoughts, with our age, with our birth, with our aspirations, ambitions, achievements, likes, dislikes, and we crystallize a personality, a ghost. This grace comes through Shravanam, some great master's words. And that grace can come through a great master, it can come through a satsang, it can come through a vision from within. Some experience can become a trigger for that. But are we available? Now the next word. First was what? Tad viditat athaha, aviditat adhi. Now the next word, aviditat. Aviditat, aviditam, agnatam, tarhiti prapte aha. So, does it mean aviditam? Does it mean that the Brahman cannot be known? Because you said by all means of knowledge, it is beyond the known. So, which means by known means of knowledge, we can never come to know him. So, is the reality unknowable? That will be the possible next question, isn't it? And that's what the student is asking. Aviditam agyatam tarhiti praptyaha. So, no, the teacher says, अथः अपि अविदिताद् विदित विपरीताद् अव्याकृता विद्या लक्षण व्याकृत बीजात. So he says here what? It should not be, he says, atha api also, it should not be mistaken to be unknown. What? The reality. We are talking about reality here. So reality, the Brahman, the Atman, it should not be taken to be unknown. Are you unknown to yourself right now? If there are no thoughts in the mind, are you there or not there? You don't have to confirm. You have to know yourself. So whether there are thoughts or whether there are no thoughts in the mind, are you there or not? You are there. So it should not be mistaken to be unknown. So not only is it other than the known, but also other than the unknown. So all manifestation, all manifest. What is manifest? Desha, Kala, Vastu, Sharir, senses, mind, thoughts, convictions, imaginations, ideas, waking, dream, deep sleep, samadhi, vaikari, madhyama, pashyanti, para. And this is all coming in the purview of known. And is there only known? Is there only manifest? Or have we understood and come to this conclusion that, oh, 9 बज गए, conclude करते हैं. Or we know that manifest and unmanifest are the two phenomena that are taking place in this creation, isn't it? Waking and dream is the manifest, deep sleep is the unmanifest. Thought is the manifest, absence of the thought is unmanifest. So thought manifest and unmanifest. Everything is, these are the two sides of the same coin, and they are going on all the time. So here it is told that all unmanifest falls into the purview of unknown. So all manifest falls under the umbrella of known, and all unmanifest, avyakta, absence, unmanifest, falls into the purview of unknown. We'll stop here. We'll continue from this point onwards. Page 37. Adhi, we will start next week. So this way, the scripture, the Upanishad, is bringing our attention, is explaining through words that which is beyond the words. And that which is beyond the words is one without a second. That which is beyond the words is Kevala. That which is beyond the words, in spite of the words, manifesting or unmanifesting, is the essence, is the eternal principle. And that I am. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.
Hariom Swamiji. Hariom Swamiji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you Swamiji. Hariom.